Hello, hello. Hello, testing audio. Okay, all right. Okay, let me just quickly test my audio and after that, I'll continue the stream. Okay, it looks good. So, what we'll do, it, uh, starting with the last stream, what we did is we were able to compress the JavaScript as well. And so we went from these base metrics to like compressing CSS of 200 KB to 5 KB and so on. We use some plugins and everything. And today we are going to replicate same optimizations in other bundlers like parcel and width. And along with that, we'll try to see if there is any contributions that we can make to the Bootstrap's documentations. So let me quickly restore my editor. Okay, it is PS5 optimize. Okay, let's open it. Okay, so in here we have Webpack already done. We are going to switch to Feed and Parcel Bundler. Uh, just to give you like a brief idea, like what we have done so far is in the Webpack, we have configured purge CSS and Terser to compress and optimize like CSS and everything. And also in our main.js, we are only selecting the page that we are looking for, and same thing in here, we are only selecting the SCSS modules that are currently used into the page which we had copied from Bootstrap's example page, which is this pricing page which we are currently working on. Okay, and this same has been replicated across all these other bundlers. So starting with parcel, let's try to uh, cross check our base metrics and get everything up and running. So starting with in order to serve the local server, like we'll run something like npm run start. Okay, it will open the server at port 8080. Initially it takes some time to compile. So yeah, like main.js and css .js 4.13 Okay, and this is the page that we have now. Looking at our base metrics in here, like we had completed till per CSS optimization over here. Now today we are going to do the JavaScript optimization in here as well. So let's close this one. Along with this, what we have set up is index.js. This is just going to serve the this directory, which is going to be like built during the build statement, and it just serves this directory, and in that it's going to just output these files into this directory, and basically it just gets served like running on actual server. And yeah, let's start with the JavaScript. So just to give you the idea, like we have npm run build to grab the base metrics from the parcel. Now over here we have some things workaround, the parcel by default, like we haven't configured to like use the entire css or something. Oh sorry, I need to change the directory. Cd need to switch to the parcel. Okay, in here I can run npm run build, and as you can see the css is 128 kb, but we were doing some optimizations afterwards. So after running the build, I'll have to run the optimize as well, like optimize css. What it would do, like it will just run the purge css and remove any unused css looking into the directory of uh, like this index html, and it checks if this some of these classes are used or not. So in the purge css config, we are specifying what is the html content to look for the classes and where to look for the css file to be optimized. And we're also set listing some css classes as well, because these classes like drop down menu dot show in the bootstrap are not by default like added. These are added through the javascript, so when we are doing the purge, it was like removing that as well. So this is where we're like whitelisting that class here as well for anything that is drop down menu related, which is currently like used in here as well. So that has to be included by default. And yeah, so we after doing the optimizations, we are like we can expect these files to like let's say over here we'll serve the express now, and it will start the server on localhost port 3000. And under the inspector, if we look into the network queries, the css is like 26, and what we have mentioned like noted in here is 26 kb. It's very close to the what we had earlier. Now we'll start with the javascript now. And in the previous stream with the webpack, we learned that the documentation in the bootstrap, like bootstrap documentation, has this import statements for the JavaScript. But one of the issue there is that when you run the build statement, it would still include all the entire like all the JavaScript plugins that Bootstrap has to like offer. So for example, if you only want to import the like tooltip or toast plugins, what this statement does is like it includes all the uh, plugins from this. But in order to make it work, we have to just do something like this. So this is the one. Same thing. Let me just cross check with the webpack also. Is there is anything else? Yeah, like you have to import the components like so instead of so. Okay, and now in parcel, let's go back and let's try to optimize the JavaScript. Currently, we are looking at uh, JavaScript is at like 282 KB, which doesn't sound good. And in our builds, what it shows is different. Let's check that as well. npm run build. Okay, so JavaScript is 93.43, which is what we have in share. Okay, now let's try to compress that, and in order to do that, all we have to do is just one of the Bootstrap way to optimize the JavaScript is just include what you need. So in here we are just going to need the drop downs of the Bootstrap. So what we'll do is come back to the Bootstrap docs, and over here we have this import statement. What we want to do is kind of similar to that. We'll say I want to import the drop down from the drop downs, and that's it. And if we run the build now, okay, it's still the same. Interesting. It says 93 point blah blah blah. We're in the partial. Why it's not working? Let's give it a try using something like other input statement. Like we want to import okay, drop down from Bootstrap, and let's save that and run the build again. Remember, it's still 93.43. Okay, let's go and check what we are doing inside the webpack. We are doing like so, and let's give that as well. Like I think we already tried this, but yeah. Okay, now we are down to 42.93. Okay, what is the difference between here and Bootstrap JS? SRC dropdown is something we have to use instead of dist dropdown. Okay, so that is one change that we made, and now we have optimized the JavaScript. Okay, so this is our first metric after this. So what we are going to do, like we are looking at 42.93, and after that we'll also use the minification and then use the compression from the server's end. So let's commit that out, and we are looking at parcel optimizations. Okay, and also we need to like note this down in our readme file. So I'm just going to go and open the readme file here, and in here I'd need JavaScript optimization is the line I'm looking for. Okay, in here then, like we are just going to paste it, and our first metric, like this one, is going to be the same as 26 KB. Again, we are not doing the CSS modification here, so it's not showing, but once we run the CSS optimize as well, it will be the same. And for the JavaScript, we are looking at 42.93 KB. Okay, let's try to save that. So this is our readme. and let's commit that out as well. Okay, now let's try the minification. So for the minification, we'll have to go into the parcel stock, and for the minification of both of them, now we are going to do the minification on both. Like for example, uh, we have the JavaScript optimization here. We have to refactor the table as well. But anyway, yeah, like we are looking at this one. Now we have to do the JavaScript and CSS minification. So for that, let's see what parcel has to like offer. Size optimization minification. Okay. By default, minifications is enabled in the parcel. You can say no optimize. Parcel uses SWC minify for JavaScript. Lighting CSS for this two. Let's grab these two. Lightning CSS, and then we have SWC, REST-based web platform. So okay, so we'll have to just install it and configure that. Is there any configuration for minification? Yes, it has one. So what are we going to do is go into the parcels RC, and we'll just tell ChatGPT like us to like add CSS and JS minification in parcel, and then paste our config in here. Okay, so over here we have this CSS. Now we have to enable the transfer.js main. We'll have to install this one as well. So let's do that. npm install. Okay, like how do I install this? Is this correct? I don't know what is wrong with here. So let's try that again. npm install. Yeah, dash dash save div instead of d. I think that was the issue. Okay, we have it installed. Then we can copy our config here, and for the JavaScript I want this one. So let's go into the parcel RC, and after the SVG let's add JavaScript. Okay, and let's run the build again and see if there are any improvements. Segmentation fall. Okay, I think it's building now. 42.93, and what we were getting is the same. So basically minification is kind of by default enable, and let's see if that is the case in the dist folder. And this is what it looks like, and this is what CSS looks like. Yes, I think it does look like it's doing the minification as well. but let's cross check in the Bootstrap Webpack as well. So this is what Webpack was doing. License.txt is something else. And for the CSS, everything was in single line. And in here, what we are getting is nothing. So let's delete this again and try once more. Okay, we're looking at the same numbers. And the minification still seems to be working. So let's see if there is any other help that this doesn't seems to be working. Cursor and CSS nano. Okay. Let's go into the partial stock production, cache optimization, minifications. Okay. Is there any doc that you guys are providing so that I can refer that as well for the optimization? Okay, these are just for like creating the optimization. Bundle inlining. Nope. Production compression is something we are looking for. Okay, we have the gzip and broadly configurations as well. Cache optimizations. Build. Okay. Compression image optimizations. We don't want that. Tree shaking and minification. Tree shaking like scale. It's already enabled. How do I enable the minification? It does say its minification is enabled by default, but don't seem to find it's working. Is there any configuration setting for this? Compressors, transformers, packages. So where like this documentation is not very helpful. Plugins, extends, blah blah blah. Okay, then parcel API, is there anything that we can use? File watching, file system, development, web server, HTTP is okay. Code splitting, library, is there anything? No. Development. So where do I find the reference of the config? It's very confusing documentation. Engines, compressor, multi-package. Yeah, there is nothing on it. Source, diagnostics and logging. Optimizer. No, there is nothing. So what we are going to do is just try to see if this is the case. Okay, after the transformer, I'm going to put like paste optimizer. Code. There is no reformatter or anything. paste it. Okay, let's give it a try. Optimize this. Okay. Okay, ChatGPT here to help. Fix this. Expected array. Where the heck is the reference? This is not very useful. Or again, system. Where is the reference for the config? I think this is it. Enables or disable the optimizations like ignition. Exact behavior is determined in the plugins. By default, optimization is enabled during production build like parcel build, except for library targets. This can be overridden using no permissions. Okay, not very helpful, not at all. Shared configuration. This is example show how many might distribute the parcel configuration. The parcel configuration shared between fixed by parcel RC file and the package npm. This allows multiple plugins to be distributed. Plugins, extends, optimizers. Okay, I think I found it. Compressors and reporters. Okay. So we have to do the optimizers and this and dot JavaScript. So optimizers, we just specify the extension there. Like for example, we want .js as an extension and to optimize these files and use these plugins. Okay, for the minification, Not very useful. Building for production in here. I want the minification in here parcel uses the capacity to manipulate JavaScript adding CSS for JavaScript modules, yes, modules, dynamic imports, classic imports, meta workers, worklets, JSX, TypeScript, table. In production mode, modifies the code by default is to perform the modification for backward compatibility supporters to config file. You can create the tester file and project, see blah blah. See the specific further information about the available option. Previous version of partial use tester the default modifier. Continue using the tester and so on. Okay. So what they're doing is they are not using tester in the parcel. They're using SWC. And what it appears to be saying that it's already clarifying the JavaScript. And same thing for the CSS. Still, the size is quite large compared to the Webpack. So, let's see. What is the version I'm using? Parcel. Oh, there is no version. So transformers and optimization method. That basically isn't working. Let's remove that package. And ChatGPT seems to be not very helpful. In here, so where I'll be looking at right now, JavaScript, CSS. Tree shaking. Manipulation in the production. Production mode parser includes optimizations or reducer files. Mode C production, promoted details works in production mode modifies. Default partner. Okay. So basically, I don't think we are going to get any optimizations in here. These are already done for us. Yeah, so I think the minification is already done, so I'm just going to skip that for on here. And since we are doing that, let's say we are done with optimizing this one. Let's refactor the readme file for a moment. Okay, and this will be this base page, no optimizations. Will be this. Now that being said, let's replicate the same number for minification. Basically, this includes the minifications by default. Okay, let's add that node in here. And then the last one is something which we are going to do now. So I just noticed while reading for the docs related to the minification, it looks like we can do the compressions directly through the bundlers as well. But in order to keep things consistent, I'm going to use the gzip compressions on Express. So what we will need to do is we'll need to install some package called compression for Express, which we had done in Webpack. So using the same technique, we are going to install the same in parcel bundler as well. And we have to update the index.js to use the compression. Like so. Okay. Before even doing that, let's try npm run build, and then after this we'll have to run npm run optimize css, and just to cross check our numbers here, let's refresh. We are looking at 42 and 22, 44 and 27. Okay, 44 and 27, is that correct? 42, and the css is looking css is 22, And let's open this request a bit. Forty-four point three, 22.7. These are the metrics we have here. Twenty-two point seven. Same thing in here. And JavaScript is 44.3. Says 42 here, but actual size is something different there. 44.3. Okay. Okay, now let's do the gzip compression now. And in order to do that, what we'll have to do is just enable the compression like so. Okay, and let's restart the server. And after the refresh, we should see different metrics. Okay, CSS is now 5.4. Very close to Webpack. And the JavaScript is 16.2. A bit large. Okay, then let's commit that out and we'll continue with the weight as well. Add compression. Passive. Okay. Now let's repeat the same thing for the weight. Starting with the JavaScript. I will just copy paste the line, single line that we want, and which is this one, and update that into the main.js. Okay, now let's cd into the weight. We are going to run the server here and express, and then we are going to say npm run build. It should give us the optimized JavaScript, which is 42.93, and let's update that as well. This is 42.93. Actual numbers might be different, so what we'll do is run the CSS optimize as well. Okay, and let's visit the page again. Bootstrap with weight, and we are looking at CSS 29, and JavaScript is still not optimized. Okay, let's run the build again and check. Main.js, we have saved it. Then index.js, we are not doing any compression here. npm run build, JavaScript 42.93. Let's restart the server. Okay, just a second. I think I was in the wrong directory. npm run build. Okay, so the JavaScript is 37.81. Let's update that. Then let's optimize the CSS along with it and refresh the browser. We're looking at CSS 22.8. Is it the correct one? It's exactly the same. And then we have 38.1. Okay, let's refactor this one as well. Let's see what we are getting into the browser. Okay, now after this we'll be having the compressions too. So for the compression we are going to use the same thing, npm install compression. Oops. I think I did the typo here, but it still worked. Yeah, then let's update the index.js accordingly. So this is our server, which is replicating the production scenario, and in here let's use the compression and let's restart the server. And after that we are looking at 5.6 KB for Java CSS and 14.3 KB for JavaScript. Okay, so let's copy paste that, and over here we are looking at 5.6 and the JavaScript is 14.3. Okay, and let's update the first column so that it's matching as per the order. We haven't checked for weight minification. We think that is also enabled by default. CSS minify or the minification specialist are defaulting to, yeah, so building for the productions are already doing the minifications like tree shaking and everything. Comparisons. Don't see anything in here. Minifications. I can only see CSS. So I believe this is enabled by default as well here. Tester options. Additional minify options to pass on to the tester. So yeah, these are enabled by default. Default is ES build. Yeah, which is fine. We don't want anything else in here. But yeah. So we have got our minifications as well as minifications by default. Then let's quickly update these lines. Does weight have anything related to the compression? Okay, now we have it cleared up. We can then comment this out. Okay, add is optimizations for wheat. Okay, there we go. Let's push that. Okay, now we have done with this one. Let's take a quick 10-minute break, and after that we'll come back again and let's see if we can improve some of this documentation or or send any PR to Bootstrap. All right, now back with uh, so we have achieved our goal here, like we wanted to improve the JavaScript and CSS, which is currently done. And now we are going to do is see if we can send these PRs to there's a typo, like socks. We need to make docs. Okay, one more thing I'm going to do is I'm going to switch, maybe not, let's say we'll keep in this window, and Let's close these things out. On the GitHub, let's visit uh, Twitter Bootstrap, and in here this is where the dogs live. Okay, so under this we have this getting started, and then we have markdown file for each of them. Okay, interesting. Okay, first of all, we'll have to start with you can also import the JavaScript, blah blah blah, import entire Java Bootstrap. And truth is, okay, let's read the community guidelines if there is any that we can use. Downloadable contains CSS grid, Bootstrap grid. Interesting. In here, what we will need to do is like fork this and then send the PR. But before that, let's see if there is anything related to that already into the docs. So anything that has label of docs. By the way, there are like 132 commits. So like pull requests that are like already pending. Okay, thanks page PR. Recrum service docs. Sing dispose. What is this one? Recrum service docs SVGs. Route until I see some other SVGs too. Okay. Okay, then we have that. Basically, there are no documentation on the bundlers here. Webpack or parcel or anyone. Okay, so we'll have to send the incremental PR for this because I don't think we can send this large PR so that, you know, like these PRs has to be reviewed by these people. So they also have this SVG section as well. Okay, and let's see. Is there something on the wait for the like SVG? And asset imports. Like separating SVGs is not supported in here, I guess. Anyway, we'll not look into that. So one of the like issues here in the docs is we can see in the optimization that we have minify whenever possible. Be sure to compress all your code to service if you're using Bootstrap dist file. Price try to the minify versions, min.cs, min.js extensions. If you are building Bootstrap from the source code using your old build system, be sure to implement your own minifiers or HTML, CSS, whatever. Then help wanted with this section, please consider opening a PR. We while don't have built-in examples for using per CSS with the Bootstrap, there are some helpful articles. Okay, so this is where we can send the PR for all of this, and we know it's working like using built-in per CSS example using Webpack, and there is an issue with this one is that this import statements for some reason it's like these are not working as we were expecting. Okay, so you can also import JavaScript individualize needed to keep bundle size down. Read our JavaScript docs, and under that individual of compile file uses with the JavaScript frameworks. Okay, so what we're going to do is we'll start with the Purge CSS since the Webpack has the Purge CSS example. Then we'll start going away from that. So first thing first, we'll have to fork the repository. Okay. Okay, nice. Since our branch is up now, let's clone this in our repository. In order to do that, we can just go in here, open from version control and the Bootstrap. Okay, we are going to clone this. For our first PR, we are going to start with Purge CSS with uh, Webpack first. So let's do that. Let this repository get cloned. I think this repository uses Hugo as like framework to build and generate the documentation and everything. So okay, documentation contributing. Do we have anything? Contribution guidelines. We'll try to minimize our PR as much as we can. Issues, labels. Okay. Bug reports, PRs. Okay. Good PRs, patches, improvements. So fantastic help to determine focus on the scope. So fork the project, clone your fork, configure the remotes. Okay. Let's do that as well. Trust the project. New window, please. Okay, then clone your project, cd, and we have to update the upstream. Okay, all that is done. After that, if you have cloned a while ago, you can just pull the latest update. Commit your changes in logical chunks. Please add it to the commit guidelines message guidelines. Okay, so this is the guidelines that we'll have to follow. Interactive rebase features to tidy up the commits before making the public. Local merge rebase on the upstream development branch first. Okay. Okay, push your topic branch to your fork branch. Got it. Open the pull request, create the title description against the main. Clear title and description against the main. Okay, nice. So for the commit guidelines, what we have in here. Blah blah blah. I think best practice commit formatting, little details, create me understandingly. Here's the model, git commit message, capitalize, short, 50 character less summary. All detail explain text if necessary, wrap it around 72 characters and everything. So best example would be just look into their commit logs, because I don't want to spend much of this time, and open the PR and so on. Okay, let's open this in the new tab. Anyway, like we can just continue with this and just see what commits looks like in here. Okay, you have to prefix with this one, commits on this rendering headers it calls out. Do these require the issue tickets? Maybe, yeah, it looks like they do. Do I have to create the issue? No, it's just a pull number. Okay, then it's fine. Just docs, whatever the fix we are doing, and what was the PR looking like. Commit is this, and do I see the commit message? Okay, let's see like what we have in our case, and just to make sure we are on the same track, I'm using lowercase, and that's it. So we just have to commit like this one. Okay, so what we are going to do is create a new branch here. Let's do that. Webpack purge CSS. I'll name it something like docs webpack purge CSS. Okay, and after this I'll need to get this project up and running first locally. So run the npm install everything we want, and after this I think this uses Hugo. Yes, so for that getting started page, okay, let's go back on here and see if there is any developer docs to like get started. Documentation, creators, versioning, community, contribution guidelines, editor references are available in the editor configs and so on. Okay, and okay, since that is happening, I think all I need to do is just call the Hugo run or something. Yeah, let's search for Hugo. Okay, in here we have the quick start. Let's get it quickly up and running. Okay, and getting started under it like quick start. We can just install it, then sit into project, then we have to call Hugo server. Okay, and that is after the installation is finished. I think Brew is going to update my system as well, so this will take some time. Okay, now the Hugo is also installed. Let's try to get the system or like the server running locally, so that we'll call Hugo server just to see if that works. Starting building sites. It's running 1313. Okay, so as you can see, the Bootstrap is now running locally. Now changes we want to make is in here somewhere. So let's try to see what is the structure of that page, and let's try to make some changes and see that is reflecting or not. Okay, the docs contain is where the docs are, and under the getting started we want to edit the webpack md. And so I believe these headings are like giving the sidebar like this one. So uh, under here, production optimization, extracting CSS. Under that, we are going to add purge CSS examples as well. So productions, extraction CSS, and exactly right before this one, we want purge CSS. Let me like see how purge CSS is like. Okay, so we are going to have purge CSS configuration. And just for the test, I'll just add the lorem ipsum here. Okay, interesting, the lorem doesn't work here. Okay, how about just do this? Okay, and then as you can see, now we have this purge CSS option in here. Okay, so first thing, we'll need to do some settings in here. CSS minification is something that we are not going to include in here. And then under the webpack config, we have this one. We do not have any purge CSS config as well. So what we are going to do is, first thing, let's see what is the configuration look like. We are going to need this purge CSS plugin. So first thing is like installing. I'll just note the points down here and just try to expand on that. So install purge CSS plugin, and then update the config is the second option, like second step, not option. Update the config, and the lastly, like what we have in our code here. Yeah, I think that's it. Under, so we don't need to do that as well. We just have to enable the update the purge CSS, and let's add some additional docs for like safe list, so that we do not want to additional notes on safe list and references to purge CSS. Purge CSS selector regex. So this is how we got to learn. Okay. So this is going to the our documentation. Okay, so this is how you write the diff. Interesting. Anyway, okay, we have the extracting CSS production. Okay. How long is this file? Like 300. And what I want to copy is one command. So basically one will be the installation. So first install the command. We are basically just following the template that they already have. Okay, first install the plugin, save div, and this plugin is nothing but the Purge CSS Webpack plugin. And let's cross check that. Yeah, this is coming like from the like official documentation of the Purge CSS. So let's go into the Webpack, and here as you can see npm install Purge CSS Webpack plugin -t is the way to install the plugin. And let's see what we have in here. Exception says style loader we config convigly. Okay, okay, we're going to just only modify the files that we want. Okay, now to remove the unused CSS from the build bundle, we use the Purge CSS Webpack plugin. First install the plugin like so, and this is how our documentation is looking. Okay, production optimization is a structure that we have in here. What else we have? When we do not playability example, production unused CSS. Extracting CSS. This is more of like a brand statement or something. So this, in order to make it, what we can say something like remove unused CSS. To remove unused CSS, is there any like external links that are already shared in here? Okay, so it's rebuilding. Okay, there you go. Do I have to like give the references to the external CSS? Yep, I can give the external CSS links. Okay, so we can do that. So let's come back in here. We install the Purge CSS, then this is done. To remove unused CSS, from the final bundle. Use the Purge CSS Webpack plugin. Let's install the plugin like so, then update the config. So now we have to update the config. So in order to do that, we have two options. Either we just edit this minified ones and only have the things that are in there. So for example, we'll just copy this line. How they have like generated this if statement, I have no idea. Okay, and then